Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Biola Lavi. And
welcome, I'm Veronica Odeka.
In the wake of the 100th-year anniversary of the birth of the great leader and visionary Nelson Mandela, the most influential people of African descent announced the recognition ceremony of Nigerians inside Africa and across the diaspora for its class of 2018. These distinguished citizens will also represent Nigeria alongside other honorees of African descent from around the world. Following the opening of the 73rd United Nations General Assembly taking place in New York City this September. Joining us in the studio to discuss this and their recent event at the Nigerian Stock Exchange yesterday is Kamil Olufowobi, founder and CEO of MIPAD. Kamil, it's good to see you. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic.
And congratulations, you must be so proud of what you guys are doing with MIPAD.
Yes, absolutely. And before we get into it, thank you so much for the work that you do. You know, a big fan of the work that you do. And yes, this is what we do, to recognize excellence in people of African descent around the world. And I usually like to start the conversation by asking, did you know that the United Nations declared a whole decade to recognize our contributions to human society through a UN resolution?
I knew that a little bit, but that's because I and I was at the event when you made the announcement of the class of 2017.
Correct.
So that's why.
Right.
And ever since then, I've been a big admirer of MIPAD and the people that it recognizes.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how do you find these amazing people? Because you don't only just find them in Nigeria.
No, this is a global. When I use the word African descent, I'm talking about people of our color everywhere in the world. It's a United Nations initiative, and it covers representation from over 50 different countries around the world, inside Africa and in the diaspora. So what is unique about the list is who's your counterpart in the diaspora who does what you do. So 100 based inside Africa and 100 in the diaspora. So we do a lot of pairing. One of our mutual friends who's in Colombia, who was the first minister of culture in her country, was paired with Debela Williams, who is of Nigerian origin. So what we do is we pair them. And it's interesting because it's not just America. But you look at South America, Brazil has 100 million people that look like you and I.
It has the second highest population of black people in the world.
Followed after Nigeria.
And then Colombia, where our mutual friend is from. So this is such a small world. They selected Paula, who actually was a classmate of mine and who was the Minister of Culture, as one of their honorees. And so I was like, oh, I know Paula. I've seen that picture before. But anyway, it's such a small world. But it's such a small world also in the world of black people.
Yes, it is.
But there are 10 million people in Colombia that claim to be black. That they claim black as their heritage.
It's interesting you use the word claim black. So let's talk about the African diaspora, the African global diaspora. When I tell you that over 200 million people of African descent live in the Americas, right? The United States has only about 40 million, 100 million in Brazil, 10 million in Colombia, Ecuador. I mean, it's truly amazing. And the reason behind that is because of the transatlantic slave trade, where millions of Africans were taken to the New World. And today they still exist in there. And their existence there is trying. And Paula, for example, now runs an organization called We're Not Invisible, translation, meaning in those societies they're considered as the invisibles. And sometimes when you talk to the average African, you know, they cannot really connect how, you know, people that look like me ended up in Colombia or in Ecuador. And it's important for us to also reach out. I always like to say that I am immigrant diaspora. My parents left Nigeria and went to the United States, but then they're the ancestral diaspora who were disconnected from Africa. And there's this phenomenon going on right now where everyone wants to connect back to Africa.
Everybody does.
I mean, Black Panther was
a lightning rod. I think it was like the beginning of a global conversation that needed to happen around for black people. So tell us, I mean, how do you select these people? How do you find them? Who brings them to you?
Absolutely. So it's open nominations for over 3 months. So starting from when we end the UN General Assembly, so this year, open nominations start from October 5th. So from October 5th all the way till January and February. We go through a selection process. We have an advisory board, and we also have a consultant firm who actually helps us vet and go through these people, because you know it's a UN initiative, so we have to be careful sometimes of the people that we select. And what is also unique is that we target young people around the world, so 40 and below.
Oops.
Wait, oops for who?
You know, it's interesting, Bill. I mean, you've had a prolific career, and I know that your nominations came in. I remember sending an email to you.
And I said, oops.
Oops,
I
know.
I tell you
and my response was, you don't look a day older than 40.
I kind of wanted to use other people, but no. But thank you.
And you, I'll use this, Veronica and Bill. Doing what you do, you light up others. They see their light because now you have people you inspire, right, to want to be the best at what they do, because that's what you do.
And that's really what MIPAD is doing.
It's all about.
Is sort of shining a light on these amazing people doing these amazing things. I saw that Colin Kaepernick is on your list.
That's on the cover. He's actually one of the people on the cover this year.
And I know just a couple of days ago he just got the okay to continue his lawsuit against the NBA, NFL, against the NFL that have basically shut him out of
for standing
football.
up for basic rights. And this is what the International Decade by the UN is actually about. It's about protecting the civil liberties and the human rights for people of African descent. So let me just backtrack and connect back to the light analogy that you use. I see your light, right? I see your light, Veronica. And
we see yours because of what you're doing. I mean, that's why you guys were, tell us why you guys were at the stock exchange yesterday.
Right. So I need to close this thought about the light, right? So when your light shines, I'm on the road to light up Africa, one African at a time. And I ain't talking electricity. Because once you shine, and you shine, and we shine, right? The continent now shines brightly. And that's the narrative, you know, the new black narrative that we want to share with the world. And you find that places like the Nigerian Stock Exchange would open its doors for us because it recognizes that there's some of the best and the brightest. And what was interesting yesterday, been there with Oscar and his team, who's the CEO of the Stock Exchange, was to help these honorees who are doing amazing work, that one day you will list your company on the stock exchange.
That is wonderful.
And Biola, you will list your media company one day. You receive that, right?
Amen.
And it's all about information, and it's all about connections, right? It's good because access to information is really what opens up success, you know, for you. So that was what yesterday was about. And I enjoy my role as a connectologist.
Okay, tell us about that. I read that you're a connectologist.
That's right. So it is the study of connectology, which is the connecting of two or more people for the purpose of sharing ideas, information, and resources to create a win-win outcome.
So did you coin, is that a word you created?
I actually trademarked it here in Nigeria.
I think that's impressive.
I love it.
I like it,
I had to call it my lawyers.
I want to be a connectologist.
Me too.
You already are.
Are we connectologists?
You know what, you already are. And the simple idea is that you connect your audiences, right, to the guests that you bring on board, right? And look at you do that every day. Some of your guests are our honorees. And I see the work that you do because it's the power of information, sharing information, ideas and opportunities. And that's what you do every day. Absolutely.
So tell us about some of the other honorees from far-flung places.
Yes, but I always like to start talking about Brazil. Brazil, because right after Nigeria, the biggest representation we have on the global list is Nigeria, of course, over 200 million people. And it's the biggest black nation in the world. Sometimes I'm unapologetic about, you know, being Nigerian, you know, on this global stage. Brazil, some of the most famous Brazilian actress and actor were our host at the UN last year. We had more Brazilian media. And this was one thing I picked up on. Brazil has an eagerness to connect with Africa. They've been so isolated because they speak Portuguese. So this hunger for Africa, we have to. And Bill, I'm looking at you now, I really mean it. A lot of the movies you make, it'll be great for us to do collaborations with them.
Totally. You know what's so funny is I think one of the people as well, I saw last year, I think she was part of class of last year. She's a telenovela actress in Brazil.
In Brazil, she's the biggest.
Actually, when I was at my former company, we actually brought her to South Africa for one of the television markets to have conversations about co-productions and acting in more African-based productions.
She was the host of our recognition event at the UN last year.
Yes.
And through that dinner, we did a DNA. I don't know if you guys know this. You can do a DNA test to know where in Africa you're from.
Yes, my friend, I heard about that.
It's a big deal now. So people of African descent who were, you know, the people I call the ancestral diaspora are now eagerly connecting back to Africa, doing DNA tests to know where they're from.
Exactly where they're from.
And she's from Cameroon.
Oh, wow.
And one of the testimonies that I bring, you know, to them is to say you get to meet your real presidents, right? So you get to connect them to the continent on the highest levels, right? So that's the kind of connection of bridging the gap between the diaspora and Africa.
So now you start out with 200
200 every year for 10 years. Remember that it's a whole decade. And so we're building a very powerful network.
So from that 200, they're also your finalists, or they still get, is there a selection from that? Like,
okay, so there are nominations, of course, right? And then there are finalists. Again, 100 based inside Africa, 100 in the diaspora, 200 every year, and they're from all over the world. It's representative. And here's the most important point I need to bring out. Global recognition, fantastic. We bring you to the United Nations to go through a 3 days intensive leadership training.
Oh, wow, that is
awesome. That is awesome.
Because it's so important to help them live up to the name of being the most influential people of African descent, to give them the tools to be the best leaders that they can be. And when they come back into their local countries, they have a local impact initiative that we run with the UN on the Sustainable Development Goals, on the SDG goals. So it's called Tech Solves. So basically what we do is leveraging technology through a series of hackathons to address and solve each of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I believe you're familiar with
them.
Very,
very.
So global recognition, leadership training, and local impact.
Oh, fantastic. So I want to know some of these people. I know last year there were some people from like so many different like, places that I was like, oh, I didn't know there were black people there.
Exactly, that's the best part. You know, when you look, this year, one of the highest ranking personalities who's on the cover is the prime minister, the youngest prime minister in Africa of Ethiopia, right?
Yes, and he is amazing.
Doing amazing stuff, right?
On a trail.
He's absolutely.
I mean, he's opened the border between Somalia and
Eritrea, and he's also reconnected Eritrea. Amazing stuff, right? Young, vibrant, you know, all about excellence. Look at the headliner.
And about action.
The headliner this year is Chadwick Boseman, King T'Challa, right? Wakanda forever, right? So, you know, we're having a Black Panther screening at the United Nations, you know, because it's really created a wave of black love, black excellence, you know, all over the world. And of course, another big story was Meghan, right? The Duchess of Sussex was a big news, you know, this year. I couldn't help but notice all the people who are coming to Nigeria, just in the phase of like 2-3
we had this week we had Angela Merkel, we had Theresa May, so
it's not only
doors are open.
Exactly, it's not only you know people of African descent, but you see the whole world. There's a new wave of Africa now, and I think this is our time. There's a shift going on in the world that Africa has opportunities now to really place our flag and just take the world and counter the narrative.
We really hope like leaders like this, people that have this platform that have been recognized, will be part of really shaping a strategy rather than always having people come in and tell and sort of present their strategy, that we start to present our strategy saying, thanks for coming, but this is our strategy. This is how we want to do business with you.
You know, for far too long, we let everybody else scramble for Africa but Africans. So it is our time, right, for us to get involved in that process, for us to be a part of it. And one thing that I always say is that we have been here so long, we've taken it for granted. Right? So what I say is follow the people coming in and try to see what they see. If we start to see through their eyes, maybe we will have a greater appreciation for what we have. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for shining the light on these amazing people from Trinidad
and Tobago, to Brazil, to Colombia,
Ecuador,
to China. We had the first black person to represent China at the Olympic Games Yeah, Dong Hugh, right? We have people from Australia, Jerry Tawi. He's the head of the Fiji national rugby team.
Wow.
They won the global rugby tournament. So it's representative of people that look like you and I from all over the world.
Yeah.
4 categories: politics and governance, business and entrepreneurship, media and culture, and humanitarian and religion. So that's 4 categories.
And I mean, I think that I love the categories because these are the categories that start to change the narrative around how people see Black people, how people see us, and how we shine our light. It's really important.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for shining your light on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we come back, we will be joined in the studio by Caterina Bortolucci, the founder of Dare to Dream, a youth entertainment and empowerment platform set to channel creativity, talent into entrepreneurship.